what figures are bandied around? What would ASUU, for instance, I've heard various figures over a period of time. What is the kind of figure that would show seriousness of purpose from government that, look, okay, we've, as it were, we've looked at this whole thing, we're now going to bite the bullet. What is the kind of, an initial kind of...
Yeah, there are two dimensions to this issue. Sure. So when people talk about money sometimes, it is not total the old one that the old framework that is about a particular amount. For example, the other time I was talking about the need assessment. The need assessment program was carried out in 2013 by government.
Please continue.
The need assessment program was carried out by government in 2013, and they came to the conclusion that we need 1.3 trillion in order to make our university globally competitive. And because we equally know we are patriots, we know the problems we are facing in this country. We know, yeah, the economy and the way the economy has been brutally, mercilessly mismanaged. So, under President Jonathan, it was agreed that every year, for 6 years, 200 billion will be released every year.
For 6 years?
For 6 years. And don't forget, 200 billion is just what 2 people in APC put down. Oh, sorry, okay, it's million. Yeah, yeah, okay. But again, this is within this thing. Yes. So, and under Jonathan, we got that. You understand? Since the government have been there, altogether in the last 7 years, what they have released is about, I think, 90 billion. Far less than what should be released within 1 year. Yeah. So one of the things we are saying now is that to show commitment that you are even serious, having defaulted over the last 7 years, release 200 billion.
Yeah.
Not to ASUU. Mm-hmm. The second stage of what I have discussed the other time when you asked for the question in terms of the agreement, revitalization of fund for public university. And to shock you, go to our university have become constituency projects. For example, Lagos State now has added 2 other universities. They are university with, they are states with 5 universities and they can't fund even one. Most of them, when you go there, you can't even see a government structure. Most of them are products of this, either TED fund, which was a product of our own struggle, or this so-called this need assessment intervention too. So that's one. So that's the only one in terms of more. The issue of IPPIS has nothing to do with money. We have said this thing is a fraud. It's prone to corruption. We have improved rights. The chief apostle and protagonist of corruption is now in Kuje prison on account of corruption. I'm talking about the immediate past Accountant General of the Federation. He has helped himself with our money.
You know, let me hear also from Dr. Chris Piwuna. Okay. Dr. Chris Piwuna is the Vice President of ASUU. Good morning to you, Doctor.
Good morning.
Okay. Thank you. And also to, he was just saying good morning.
Good morning, Chris.
You know.
Morning, Adelaja.
How are you doing?
So what...
okay.
Great. Could you give us an assessment of how you think it went in the first stage of the action, which was across the country, state capitals yesterday, and then all of it dovetailing into today's action in the federal capital?
Well, thank you very much. We truly appreciate the Nigerian Labour Congress for giving us this platform to draw attention to the sorry state of Nigerian universities. The protests across the country, as you must have observed, went on very well. It was everybody that came out, regarding the issue that we raised about reopening the Nigerian universities. SANU were there, NASU was there, NAT was there, students were there, civil servants, the working class, were all there. And I think our showing yesterday was quite good, and I hope that we can improve on it. Indeed, if this matter is not resolved, we should see market women and market men join us in the next protest. We should see retirees join us in the next protest, I mean pensioners, we should see a larger, section of the Nigerian public join to ensure that education is given its rightful place in running this country. Okay. You would agree with me too that education, it's guided by a philosophy, and we have a national educational policy in this country, 2004. The philosophy has remained same, that education should be used as a tool for development. It is a tool for unity. It is a tool for, economic progress of this country. It is a tool to be used for the overall development of this country. So if you leave education out, what kind of development are you looking forward to? What kind of unity are you looking forward to? What kind of system, what kind of future are you building? It is obvious that we're not building any future in this country. I mean, what our leaders are doing. So we look forward to a quick resolution of this crisis, but in the event, and we won't be surprised if government refuses to do the needful, we will not be surprised at all. It won't be the first time they are making promises or showing some promise, to act and yet fail to do what they have said they will do. But if that happens, I think we should have another protest that will pull out the entire Nigerian, society to the streets, because the change, comrades, the change that we need in this country is certainly not going to come over the table. It's going to come in the streets. It's going to come by our sweat. It's going to come by our determination. It is going to come by our courage to stand up to those that call themselves our leaders, because they truly have no interest of this country at heart.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Chris Piwuna, National Vice President of ASUU. Dr. Piwuna, back to you. Nigeria is the largest country in Africa by population, and this shows we have our children are growing up to education, to university education age, and so you've had this situation where universities are springing up all over the place. Yet it looks as if the resources that were available for maybe the first generation universities back in the 60s is what is being divided up among all these universities that are proliferating. I've heard university specialists talk about the sorry condition of financing for the state universities. Yet more states want universities. Is this not a situation, how do we come out of this kind of a situation against the backdrop of what you are protesting for, which is, I've just been hearing from your colleague here, Comrade Odukoya, that it's not all about money. It's also about the systems. It's also about so many other things. Talk to me about that, please, because it looks like this situation is going to get worse.
Well, certainly, in the 60s, in the 50s, and even in the early 70s, establishment of universities was a very deliberate policy. It was a very carefully, thought out program. So they would say in the next 15 to 20 years, we're going to need manpower in media, mass communication. We need university that will cater for that, or we need programs that will cater for that. We need manpower in technology, in engineering. So we need 2 universities that would need to address that. But from the 80s to this day, universities are no longer those carefully thought out creations of government. So people just come, they are in power, they have sycophants around them, so they decide to establish universities of maritime in Katsina, or they want to do a university of Navy in Plateau because of the chief of air staff, your naval staff is from Plateau. So universities no longer cater for specific needs. They cater for individual, personal, satisfaction of people in government. it is true that over the years, one of the major barriers to funding of education in Nigeria is the per unit cost of training students. It is the level of enrollment into the universities, because the population is growing, and so we need, universities to address this explosion in population. That is true, but that is an aside. All these things can be addressed if there is proper funding of the system. In Africa, South Africa in particular, in 2012, the budgetary allocation to education in South Africa in 2012 was the entire budget of Nigeria. Check it out.
So you can say they appreciate the value of education and research.
In Ghana, until recently, when they began to have some of these problems, the average budgetary allocation to education in Ghana is 31%. In Burkina Faso, it is 17%.
For comparison, what is it in Nigeria? What is it in Nigeria for comparison?
Nigeria, it's about 5.4% now. But before we even get to that, 5.4%. Yar'Adua in 2008 is the highest in the history of Nigeria as a nation. The Yar'Adua administration has given education the highest allocation, which is 13%, which is also far below what most African countries, allocate to education. So if we agree that education is the tool that we will use to cater for the welfare of our citizens, if we agree that education is the vehicle that we can use to develop our country, both economically, technologically, and otherwise, if we agree to that, then it means that if we take care of education, then the issue of unemployment, issue of insecurity, the issue of poverty, and many other things will be addressed. But you see, that is not the interest of our leaders. The interest of our leaders is to just score cheap political points.
Okay.
And so if I'm going to win this re-election as state governor, I will need to create 2 universities to cover these 2 zones or senatorial districts that I have problem. So it's about winning power and keeping power. It's not about development of this country.
Okay.